But today, if you wake up and you and your friends put out a meme, or your team tweeted out something mocking the process, or anyone said, how's that process working out for you? You don't get it. You don't even understand the idea of a point or a purpose. The process wasn't just about winning championships. If you say the word championships, you're out. What was it about, Brett Brown?
If we all sat in that room when we met on September, whatever it was, and said, we're going to finish third in the Eastern Conference, we're going to lose in the semifinals of the Eastern Conference, there's a strong chance we all would have been hugging each other. The initial goal was to make the playoffs.
The initial goal was to make the playoffs. The initial goal was this, okay? Let me translate it into Sam Hinkie for you. The initial goal was to take a middling team, a team with no championship shot, a team stuck somewhere between 12 and 7 in the Eastern Conference, flip it on its head, bottom it out, yes, tank, and turn it into a contender. Not to have it go from tank to championship in one season, and not possibly to have it ever arrive at a championship. That's right. The process is a success. The process will be a success, and the process already is a success with or without a championship. What are we missing here, Stephen A.?
And do you know what people had the audacity to say this morning? Well, the 76ers never promised you they'd win a championship. They were just trying to retool and get young players and develop them. Well, what the hell are you trying to do? What are you trying to do while you're charging the paying customer? What are you trying to do?
You are trying to turn a middling team into a contender. Why are we having trouble with the purpose of the process, the point of the process? And I remember I was in law school at the University of Texas, and we took one of these guys' weekends out to a lake house. And I had these two buddies. One's now a criminal defense attorney in Houston, pretty big time, and he's the offender here. Every time we'd tell a story, a bunch of guys sitting around the kitchen, knocking back some shots, smoking some cigarettes, doing what guys do when they're that age. And everybody's busting balls, and everybody's telling stories and doing their thing. And my one buddy would jump in, and he'd ramble, and he'd drop a name, and he'd tell a story, and it never went anywhere. And one of my other buddies turned to him and said, "Hey, Doyle, next time you open your mouth, if you don't have a point or a punchline, please don't enter the conversation." In order to understand the process, you got to understand the point. You can't just rattle names, say championship. By the way, it's like society itself has turned into that conversation. What is Instagram but somebody trying to communicate something they're not? Like, do you have a purpose to this picture you posted? Do you have a purpose beyond showing me you were at a cool place or you're wearing a cool outfit? Do you have a purpose besides name dropping in this thing? Do you have a point? Here's the point of the process, okay? The point was to give the 76ers as many shots to retool as they could. It was to get into the draft. It wasn't that everyone was going to be a hit. It wasn't that Jahlil Okafor had to turn out. It wasn't that Embiid has to be one of the best players and Ben Simmons has to be worthy of a top pick. It was that they would acquire as many picks at the top of the draft, thus optimizing their chances to get top players. They were never going to hit on all of them. They weren't going to hit on every Okafor and every Embiid. They were going to miss. Markelle Fultz was the antithesis of the process because Colangelo and the new regime in Philadelphia traded away quantity of draft picks to move up 3 slots to get one guy. That was against the process. The idea was multitude of shots, more opportunities, more chances to get big players. And thus, if you did, you would vault. You would slingshot from that tank, from that basement into contention. But thus concludes the process. Are the Philadelphia 76ers in contention? Cerruti, are the Philadelphia 76ers in position to be in contention for a title for years to come?
Absolutely.
Bubba, are they in contention to win titles for years to come?
Yes.
Scoot that microphone if you can over by Ryan Hollins, who's waiting patiently to hang out with me later. Ryan Hollins, just get to the microphone, former NBA player, just mad as could be at my whole opening segment. Are the Philadelphia, make it short, Ryan, have a point?
How do you know that I'm this mad at you? Can you does he hear us, Cerruti?
All right.
Ryan literally just said, "I'm so bleeped at will right now. I need to leave the room."
Okay, if he doesn't answer this with a point or a punchline, you have to take the microphone away. Are the Philadelphia 76ers in contention to win titles for years to come?
Yeah, Will, I'll give you that.
All right.
That's it.
That's the point of the process. Now, winning a championship, guess what? That's the next step. That's the step beyond the process. That's the step that the 76ers are involved in. The Utah Jazz are involved in. The New Orleans Pelicans are involved in. The Toronto Raptors. The Houston Rockets. Everybody's trying to get that last step, the last mile, the next strategy, the strategy that comes after the process. Who can get over the hump? Who can take the last step? Who can make the last mile? I'll get to that straight ahead. This has been Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Okay, let me explain the last mile. It's a problem in telecom. It's a problem in with cell phones, with cable. It's even a problem with Amazon. The last mile. It's also a problem for Philly, New Orleans, Toronto, Houston. But it's a problem for after the process. It's post-process. It's the new problem.